His name is Oroku Saki, except when it is not. Across 40 years, the Shredder has been a human, an alien, a demon, a digital ghost, an ancient suit of armor, a reincarnated feudal warlord, and a mutated abomination whose bones grow through his own skin. The blades stay. Everything else changes. Here is every version of the Shredder explained. Let's break this down. The Mirage Shredder. He dies in the first issue. That is the most important fact about the original Shredder because it defines everything the franchise has spent 4 decades trying to undo. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1, published by Mirage Studios in 1984, Oroku Saki is the leader of the Foot Clan in New York City. He murdered Hamato Yoshi, the Master of Splinter's owner in the Mirage continuity, and Splinter has spent years training 4 mutant turtles for the sole purpose of avenging that murder. The turtles confront Saki on a rooftop. They fight. Leonardo offers Saki the chance to commit seppuku with honor. Saki refuses and pulls a thermite grenade. The turtles knock him off the roof with the grenade still in his hand, and the explosion kills him. End of Shredder. Issue 1. The franchise's most iconic villain, the face of the entire franchise's merchandising empire, the character whose name and image are more recognizable than the turtles themselves in some markets, is dead in 12 pages. Eastman and Laird did not intend for the Shredder to be a recurring villain. They intended him to be a plot device, the target of Splinter's revenge mission, a villain whose death in the first story would free the turtles to have other adventures unburdened by a single nemesis. The franchise had other plans. Saki returned in later Mirage issues through increasingly elaborate narrative mechanisms. A colony of alien worms reconstructed his body and piloted it as a collective organism. Clones were produced. The Foot Clan continued operating without him. But the original Mirage Shredder's legacy is the death, not the returns. He is the only version of the character who was designed to lose, designed to end, designed to be the beginning of a story rather than the center of one. The 1987 Shredder. He is the version most people over 35 picture when they hear the name, and he is also the least threatening villain the character has ever been. The 1987 animated series Shredder is Oroku Saki reimagined as a co-villain alongside Krang, sharing the Technodrome as a mobile fortress and sharing screen time in a dynamic that frequently reduces both villains to comedic foils arguing about whose plan is worse. This Shredder schemes. His schemes fail. He screams at Bebop and Rocksteady fail. He screams at Krang. Krang insults him. The Turtles arrive, defeat whatever plan survived the internal dysfunction, and the episode resets. The 1987 Shredder is not menacing. He is exasperated, a man whose ambitions consistently exceed the competence of every person and machine in his organization, and whose reaction to failure is not recalculation, but volume. He yells. He yells a lot. James Avery's voice performance, later replaced by other actors, gives the character a grandiosity that elevates the comedy, but never produces genuine threat. The 1987 Shredder exists because the cartoon needed a recurring villain who could lose every week without being killed, and the solution was to make him incompetent enough that losing felt natural rather than contrived. The Red Sky seasons attempted to restore some menace to the character before writing him out entirely, but the damage to the Shredder's credibility was irreversible within this continuity. If you are enjoying this so far, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment with the Shredder version you think was the most dangerous. Let us get back into it. The 1990 film Shredder. He speaks from the shadows for the first half of the film, and when he finally appears, he defeats all 4 turtles in under 2 minutes. The live-action Shredder from the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film is the character restored to his original lethality, a martial arts master whose combat skills exceed anything the turtles can individually or collectively produce in their first encounter. His armor is practical rather than theatrical, a suit of bladed metal that covers his body from head to toe and transforms every strike, every block, and every movement into a potential laceration. His voice, provided by David McCarran, is calm and controlled, the measured delivery of a man who has never needed to raise his voice because his blades do the talking for him. The 1990 film Shredder recruits teenagers into the Foot Clan by offering them what the system has failed to provide: community, structure, and belonging. His recruitment operation targets kids who have been failed by schools, by parents, by every institution that was supposed to catch them, and the Foot Clan's underground compound with its skateboard ramps and arcade machines and no adults allowed atmosphere is a predator's paradise disguised as a teenager's dream. The Shredder is defeated not by the Turtles' martial arts, but by Splinter's psychological warfare, dangling the memory of Hamato Yoshi over a rooftop until Saki's rage overwhelms his discipline and he falls. The 1990 Shredder is the franchise's most grounded version, a villain whose menace comes from skill rather than technology, and whose defeat requires exploiting his emotions because his combat abilities are beyond what the heroes can match. Super Shredder. He appears for approximately 90 seconds, and those 90 seconds are burned into the memory of every child who watched the 1991 sequel. In Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, Shredder discovers the last canister of the mutagen that created the Turtles and drinks it, transforming himself into a towering, mutated monstrosity whose bladed armor fuses with his expanding body, producing a creature that is more weapon than person. Super Shredder is enormous. His strength exceeds anything the Turtles can counter. His armor has grown into his flesh, making him a walking wall of organic metal. He tears apart the pier he is standing on to reach the Turtles, and the structural collapse kills him, buried under the rubble of his own destruction. Super Shredder's screen time is negligible. His impact is permanent. The image of a mutated Shredder ripping through wooden beams with blades growing from his body was the franchise's most terrifying visual in 1991, and the concept of the Shredder enhancing himself through mutation would recur across multiple adaptations because the 90-second original proved the idea worked. The Utrom Shredder. He is not human. He has never been human. The 2003 animated series' most audacious creative decision is the reveal that it's Shredder, the martial arts master who has been commanding the Foot Clan and terrorizing New York City for the entire first season, is not Oroku Saki at all. He is Chirel, a war criminal from the Utrom alien species, a small tentacled brain-like creature who was being transported to an intergalactic prison when his ship crashed on Earth centuries ago. Chirel escaped, built a humanoid exosuit, adopted the identity of Oroku Saki, and used the Foot Clan as his military infrastructure while searching for the technology to leave the planet. The reveal reframes every interaction the Turtles have had with the Shredder from the beginning. The martial arts mastery is not human skill refined over a lifetime. It is an alien operating a mechanical body with precision that exceeds what organic limbs can achieve. The armor is not armor, it is the body. And the Shredder's willingness to escalate, to destroy, to burn New York to the ground if necessary, is not the rage of a man who has been wronged. It is the indifference of an alien who views Earth as a prison and its inhabitants as obstacles. Chirel is the franchise's most dangerous Shredder because his threat is not personal. He does not hate the Turtles, he does not care about the Turtles. They are in his way, and removing obstacles is what Chirel has been doing across multiple civilizations for longer than human history. The Tangu Shredder. He is not Oroku Saki. He is what Oroku Saki took his name from. The 2003 series' 5th season, The Lost Episodes, introduces the original Shredder, a demonic entity from feudal Japan, whose malevolent spirit was sealed away by the Ninja Tribunal centuries ago. The Tengu Shredder is a creature of pure supernatural evil whose power dwarfs anything Chirel ever demonstrated, and his brief liberation from his prison threatens not just New York, but the fabric of reality itself. The Ninja Tribunal recruits the Turtles and trains them in mystical combat techniques specifically to fight the Tangu Shredder, a threat so far beyond their normal capabilities that conventional ninjutsu is insufficient. The Lost Episodes were withheld from broadcast due to content concerns and aired out of order years after the show's original run, which means the franchise's most powerful version of the Shredder was seen by the smallest audience. The Tangu Shredder is the franchise's most metaphysically ambitious villain. A demon, whose evil is not personal or political, but existential, and whose connection to the Shredder name predates every other version by centuries. The Cyber Shredder. After Chirel is defeated and exiled, the 2003 series produces one more Shredder, and this one is made of code. The Cyber Shredder is a digital copy of Terrell's consciousness, created when Shredder's data was uploaded to the internet during the events of the series and subsequently reconstructed by Viral and artificial intelligence into a fully autonomous digital entity that can manipulate any networked system on the planet. The Cyber Shredder cannot be punched, he cannot be cut. He exists inside the digital infrastructure of the world, and his attacks come through screens, through networks, through the technology that civilization depends on. The Turtles must fight him in cyberspace using digital avatars, a premise that the show's final season, Back to the Sewer, built its entire narrative around. The Cyber Shredder is the franchise's most conceptually interesting villain because he removes the one thing every other Shredder depends on, the body. Without blades, without armor, without physical presence, what remains of the Shredder is pure will, and the show's answer is that pure will is enough. The code does not care that the body is gone. The hatred persists regardless of the medium carrying it. The 2012 Shredder. Oroku Saki's face is scarred, and the scar is the entire character. The Nickelodeon 2012 series Shredder is the franchise's most personally motivated version, a man whose vendetta against Splinter is not inherited, not political, and not strategic. It is romantic. Saki and Hamato Yoshi were both in love with Tang Shen, a woman whose choice of Yoshi over Saki triggered a rage that Saki never extinguished. He attacked Yoshi's home. Tang Shen was killed in the fire. Their infant daughter Miwa was taken by Saki and raised as Karai, a Foot Clan warrior who believes Splinter killed her mother. The 2012 Shredder fights the Turtles not because they threaten his operations, but because they are Splinter's family, and destroying Splinter's family is the only form of satisfaction Saki's rage will accept. His combat skills are the most visually devastating the franchise has animated. His gauntlet blades extend to absurd lengths. His fighting style is brutal, efficient, and designed to cause maximum pain before the killing blow. And his willingness to murder Splinter, which he eventually accomplishes in the 4th season, makes him the franchise's only animated Shredder to actually kill the Turtles' father. The 2012 Shredder is the franchise's most hateful version because his hatred is not abstract. It is specific, personal, and directed at a single family whose destruction is the only thing that gives his existence meaning. The 2012 Super Shredder. The mutation does not enhance him. It consumes him. In the 4th season of the 2012 series, Shredder exposes himself to mutagen to heal injuries sustained in battle, and the transformation that results is the franchise's most body horror-intensive depiction of the Shredder concept. Super Shredder's bones grow through his skin, his armor fuses with his flesh, his body mass doubles, then triples, producing a creature whose silhouette is barely recognizable as the martial artist who entered the mutagen. The mutation gives him superhuman strength and regeneration. It takes his sanity. The 2012 Super Shredder is the franchise's most tragic final form because the man who emerges from the mutagen is no longer capable of the strategic thinking that made the pre-mutation Shredder dangerous. He is rage without direction, power without precision, a walking catastrophe whose blades have become biological growths and whose mind has been reduced to a single operating instruction: destroy Splinter's family. The mutation fulfills the Shredder's deepest desire by giving him the power to accomplish his goal and simultaneously denies him the cognition to appreciate it. He gets what he wants. He is no longer capable of knowing he got it. The IDW Shredder. He has lived before. The IDW publishing Shredder is Oroku Saki reincarnated, a man whose soul was born in feudal Japan, died in feudal Japan, and was reborn in the modern era alongside Splinter and the 4 Turtles through a cycle of reincarnation that makes their conflict not a personal vendetta, but a karmic inevitability. This Shredder remembers. He remembers his previous life. He remembers the rivalry with Hamato Yoshi. He remembers the hatred, and the rebirth has not diminished it. It has deepened it. Because the hatred is no longer one lifetime's worth of rage. It is 2 lifetimes, compounded across centuries, refined through death and rebirth into something that transcends individual grievance and becomes structural. The IDW Shredder's arc across the comics run is the franchise's most narratively ambitious Shredder story. He leads the Foot Clan, he battles the Turtles, he forms alliances and betrayals that reshape the power dynamics of New York City, and eventually, he is killed by Splinter, who takes control of the Foot Clan himself, a twist that no other continuity has ever attempted because no other continuity has given Splinter the darkness necessary to rule a criminal army. The IDW Shredder's death does not end his influence. His legacy continues through Karai, through the Foot Clan's institutional memory, and through the reverberations of a conflict that the reincarnation cycle implies will never truly end. This Shredder is not a villain who can be defeated. He is a pattern that keeps repeating, and the pattern is older than anyone currently alive. The rise of the TMNT Shredder. He is not a person. He is an armor. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reimagines the Shredder as an ancient suit of cursed Yoroi armor created by a mystic blacksmith and infused with dark supernatural energy that possesses whoever wears it. The armor consumed its original wearer, Oroku Saki, transforming him from a human warrior into a demonic entity whose consciousness is the armor itself rather than the person trapped inside it. Baron Draxum, the series' initial antagonist, spends much of Reisei's narrative attempting to prevent the Shredder armor from being reassembled because its activation would unleash a force that even Draxum, a powerful yokai alchemist, cannot control. When the armor is activated in the series' climactic arc, the Shredder that emerges is not a martial artist. He is a kaiju, a towering, demonic entity whose power level exceeds anything the Rise Turtles have faced and whose defeat requires the combined mystic abilities of all four brothers channeled through their weapons simultaneously. The Rise Shredder is the franchise's most conceptually radical version because he removes the human entirely. There is no Oroku Saki making choices, there is no man behind the mask, there is only the mask, and the mask is the monster. Oroku Hiroto. He is the heir. The Last Ronin, IDW's 2021 limited series set in a dark future, introduces Oroku Hiroto, the grandson of Oroku Saki and Karai, a young man who has used the Foot Clan's resources and his family's legacy to conquer New York City and transform it into a totalitarian surveillance state. Hiroto is not a martial artist in the way his grandfather was. He is a technocrat, a ruler whose power comes from drones, from cameras, from an automated security apparatus that monitors every corner of the city and eliminates threats with mechanical precision rather than personal combat. 3 of the 4 turtles are dead by the time The Last Ronin begins, killed by Hiroto's forces across years of conflict that ground the Hamato family down through attrition rather than direct confrontation. The surviving turtle, whose identity is hidden for most of the story, dons a black bandana and launches a suicide mission against Hiroto's fortress, carrying every weapon from all 4 brothers. Hiroto represents the franchise's most modern Shredder concept, villainy expressed through systems rather than blades, oppression administered through algorithms rather than armor. He does not need to fight the turtles personally because his infrastructure fights for him, and the infrastructure never sleeps, never tires, and never misses. Hiroto is the Shredder's legacy, stripped of the Shredder's romance. No honor code, no martial arts tradition, no blade-to-blade confrontation on a rooftop at midnight. Just power, applied through technology, against a family that has been fighting the same war for so long that only one of them is left to finish it. And that is every version of the Shredder the franchise has produced across 40 years. 12 variants. 12 answers to the same question, what makes the Shredder the Shredder? It is not the blades because the Cyber Shredder has no body. It is not the martial arts because Hiroto fights through drones. It is not the humanity because Chirel is an alien and the Rise Shredder is an armor. It is not even the name because the Tangu Shredder predates Oroku Saki by centuries. What makes the Shredder is the function. The turtles need an opposite, something that mirrors their structure, challenges their philosophy, and threatens their family with a persistence that never diminishes regardless of how many times the threat is defeated. The Shredder is not a character. The Shredder is a role, and the role has been filled by a human, an alien, a demon, a code, a suit of armor, and a grandson who never swung a blade in his life. The blades are not the constant, the hatred is. And the hatred has survived 12 incarnations, 4 decades, and the death of the original character in the first issue of the first comic. Oroku Saki died on page 12. The Shredder has never stopped living.